we should talk about Jack Pierce, but he's kind of like he's done these amazing, iconic makeups that are still popular. Like the Frankenstein's monster is still iconic. Like it's like part of
almost beyond iconic.
yeah,
It's one of it
Americana. It's like a
yeah.
classic. I don't know, Americana is the right word, but like Marilyn Monroe, iconic. It's like
Uh-huh.
or Elvis. You know what I mean? It's like or Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse. It's like that level, and it's kind of amazing. What a feat! You know, it's not. It's the makeup. It's not. I don't think it's because of the movie as much as it's because of the makeup design that it's so memorable. I really think that visually, I mean, of course, that was a classic movie. It was very popular. It's a classic, but I don't think that image of Frankenstein's monster would have lasted so long just on the merits of the film alone. I think that it's the design, partially because of the design of that thing, because it's just so, there's something magic about it. It's
Hmm.
amazing still. It's still totally cool. You know, I think it's partially because, like I was saying, Boris Karloff's face,
Hmm.
he had a bridge and he took that out. That's part of why the makeup's so cool, so that his cheek would go way in. You know, that's that one side of his face where it's all sucked in.
Yep.
It's because he pulled his teeth out. He pulled his dentures. He had a partial denture he would pull out, and wax on the lids, I think, right? To
Uh-huh.
make the lids
Uh-huh.
super heavy,
Heavy.
the bolts, and then that weird square head, which does not make logical sense, but it looks cool as hell.
That's the key. I think that square weird head is what is like what really makes that design. Well, in combination with that angularity, in combination with Boris Karloff's great bone structure.
Hmm.
Because wasn't Bela Lugosi at one point considered for the role of
Yeah,
Frankenstein, or
he
he
was
he
Frankenstein.
regretted not
Yeah,
taking it?
and they did a Frankenstein makeup on him for some movie. One of
Later,
and it was not. It's like because he's got that round face, it just
rounder
was
face.
not. It wasn't that great. But the Glenn Close Frankenstein is
Glenn
awesome.
Strange.
Glenn Close
Well, that would be a good
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, the Glenn,
The sequel
the
to Fatal Attraction.
the Glenn Strange makeup is awesome. It's like it kind of is. It's up there, you know, with the
Uh,
Boris Karloff one, I think, and it's because he's got a great face to work with. Because he was like a cowboy actor, I think, right? Glenn
I,
Strange.
I I think so.
Anyway, okay, so Jack Pierce. So he did The Wolfman, also a build up, right?
Hmm.
I think it was a build up also. Did
Laid the
Franken
hair, build up, laid the hair down, and I love the hair work on that. He was really good with hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Okay, but the thing with Jack Pierce is around, I think it's around The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Charles Lawton. They started
who
using foam latex
who did
prosthetics.
that makeup?
Okay, I think it was. I gotta look. There was like Gordon Bow, right,
Gordon Bow, yeah, and
and
he
Charles Schramm,
Shram,
and these guys, I think, kind of developed foam latex,
foam latex. Yep.
right? Okay,
Charles Bow, I think, yeah.
and that's another one that Hunchback. Like I didn't really like that Lon Chaney Hunchback makeup very much. I never, even as a kid, I never really liked it. I just didn't think it was as cool as the Charles Lawton version. That one is really
Hmm.
amazing, where it's kind of like the eyes down, but again, it's because he's got that face.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that weird, like, he's already got kind of like an upturned nose a bit and kind of like a round face, and it just totally
Rounded
works.
features. The slope is kind of rounded, and then he's got those kind of full lips, kind of that droop downwards.
Yeah,
Everything kind of, yeah, was weighty and round, and it was a distinctive. Yeah, who did
I
that?
know. Okay, I'm trying to look. This is 1939. Gordon Bow. Okay, so yeah, so I think it was around there in the Wizard of Oz where they developed foam latex prosthetics. Where the Scarecrow is a foam latex prosthetic, and the witch's nose and stuff. And
Mhm.
prior to that, it was like out of the kit build up stuff. And Jack Dawn. Jack Dawn did
Oh
a
yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
stuff. He did the makeup on the Wizard of Oz, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think so. Those are fantastic.
I know.
Scarecrow alone is fantastic, sculpted well,
Yeah, I
and
know, right?
and everything about it's good. Yeah, yeah. The Wizard of Oz was okay. I took some notes about like moments where like things were unprecedentedly good.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizard of Oz is one of those.
Definitely.
Frankenstein, definitely one of those. But The Wizard of Oz, it worked on every level. and it was surreal and dreamy. And I think it kind of was, yeah, it just kind of transcended and just one of those almost perfect movies.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
it's an
even the
amazing movie.
tornado effects, even the practical effects
Right.
were like, it has no business being as good as it
I
is,
know,
really.
and I don't know even know what year that movie. It's in the 30s. It's
Got to
some.
be in the 30s, but yeah, and those makeups are so good, and even the wizard makeup with the kind of rounded cheeks and
Yep.
perfect, just
1930,
perfect.
1939.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
So I guess the 30s was like a big,
big year for that
yeah,
stuff. Everything.
changing into foam latex prosthetics from out of kit makeups and stuff.
And wasn't that something that Jack Pierce was had a difficult,
That's right. Yeah.
adapting to,
Yeah,
which is sad.
apparently he was, I don't know if drummed out of the industry is the right way to put it, or fired or what, but he wouldn't move on to sculpting and doing foam latex prosthetics. He wanted to keep doing it the old way, which is the build up way. So
That scares me. That scares me because there's an example right there of not adapting to the
yeah,
times.
but why is that scary though? Because you've adapted
Because
to
I don't want to adapt to AI or
yeah,
technology.
but you've adapted to ZBrush and digital
Yeah,
sculpting and stuff. So it's like as you're on a need to know basis if you're what you're doing. Because like think about ZBrush sculpting. It's cool enough to where you did it and learned it, and it's
that's
still
true.
fun and you're still sculpting. I mean, if it's something to where you're at a point where you're just like typing something in and it's spitting something out,
I don't want to
you
do
wouldn't
that.
even want to
Yeah.
do that. So,
I don't
but
even
if
want to do that. So Jack Pierce didn't want to learn these new things because he was so good at just being resourceful out of the kit,
But
kind of
yeah,
artist.
but he was also great. I mean, he made these iconic makeups, so he must have had an eye for really cool, something that looks really good, which is a
Hmm.
big part of it. Because the Wolfman is also very iconic, super
Yeah.
iconic.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to mention one thing. I wanted to mention about the Frankenstein makeup is the hair. It
Oh
doesn't really
yeah.
get talked about, but that hair, I think that lends a lot of realism to that makeup because the hair looks super real. The hair that's kind of hanging over the
Yeah.
top. It's just there's something about the hair that it doesn't look fake. It looks.
What did he do? It was just like a thin, almost like a toupee thing that just was flattened that kept the shape of the squarish, head, and
I guess yeah. It must be.
it,
It must have been a
it was
wig.
minimal, but
Yeah,
it
yeah. But
it
it kind of
does it.
hangs over the edge. And also okay. What were you gonna say? Because one thing I thought of something we need to talk about.
Oh, we're sculptors, so we're biased towards sculpting, but there's something to be said about designing a look of something sans sculpting.
Yeah.
So, which is basically what Lon Chaney and Jack Pierce were doing. And I love the quality of it. There's kind of an organic a feel to it where, if sculpting, even really good sculptures, you can still kind of read that it's a sculpture. But to get the kind of naturalism of something that's being built up or a Wolfman makeup that didn't rely on changing so much of the bone structure, but instead beautifully laid hair
Hmm.
and a minimal nose and the teeth. But the hair is like 80% of the whole look.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's one thing where I feel like hair isn't utilized as much today because of the strength of the sculptors in the industry.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
true.
I love seeing, I mean, have you seen those individuals that have a kind of a disorder where they're covered with hair, like
Hmm.
Jojo the dog face boy or something?
Yeah.
And I think there were these two brothers from South America or something that were part of the circus who had that same thing, but it was short, curly, dark hair, and they had dark brown eyes.
Hmm.
And just that alone
Right.
was like very powerful look.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
didn't rely upon sculpting. Just the hair alone is unusual enough that it was powerful. And I sometimes feel like people shy away from hair now and don't fully utilize its power.
Hmm.
And even like Bigfoot makeups and costumes, a lot of
Right.
times they shy away from having the hair almost, cover most of the prosthetics.
Right.
And I feel like I want to see the hair. I mean,
Yeah.
even if it's on top of really cool, War of the Gargantua type of bone
Well, the
structure,
thing,
I
yeah,
want to see the hair.
the thing about hair is like if it's done well, it looks super real, and if it's not done well, it looks super bad and
Yeah,
fake.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
it is amazing when you look at the Wolfman, especially how good he was at laying hair. There's really
Uh-huh.
an art to laying hair. properly in layers, and
Yeah, it
it's
looks so good.
yeah,
And
amazing.
and of course, with foam latex appliances, he's got to go in and sculpt these things, and he's got to pivot and rethink about emphasizing these appliances. And so it's like, maybe he would get feedback from producers saying, "We don't want you to cover these appliances, this new state-of-the-art material with hair. Let's just focus on the
Hmm.
appliances." And maybe something was lost, especially his ability to design with hair. And so, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know, but think about though, like out of build-up makeups, there is an element to sculpture in those, especially when you're using mortician's wax and stuff. Though you are kind of
absolutely.
sculpting on your face. It's just like the option to do a fully covered face isn't there really with out of. I mean, I guess you. Yeah, I mean the Wolfman's a good example of. You can do that, but you have less options, so you have to be more creative with what little things you can do. You know what
Yes.
I mean? So,
Teeth, eyes,
right.
hair. Yeah, these focal points on the face. It's that's and
And a lot of times limitations are what make you come up with a really cool idea you wouldn't have come up with
exactly.
anyway. I do one thing we should mention about the Frankenstein makeup is or Frankenstein's monster. I'm trying to correct myself because I know people,
That confused me as a kid. It's like, wait a minute, that's Frankenstein.
No,
Well,
the
I don't know.
doctor was
That's just
Frankenstein.
added words. That's just Frankenstein. Forget
uh
about the doctors,
yeah, yeah, it doesn't
scientists,
matter.
whatever.
The funny thing is his justification for the flat head was like the idea that he would pop the head open to put the brain in and then put it back down. And it's
Yeah.
like, why would that make the head square? It doesn't make sense,
Uh-huh.
and but it doesn't matter because it looks so damn good. I
Yep.
I still paint square headed dudes all the time.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
like
you do.
part of my thing because it was because of that. It was such an
Uh-huh.
influence. I just think it looks so amazing. But it's so funny how it doesn't really make sense.
It was a simple starting point to add a design element that was
Right.
really cool.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, the brain has to come out, come out and come back in. So that gives me liberty to play with the shape of the head.
Right.
And that was enough reason to go, let's flatten it.
Yeah.
And thank God he did.
I know.
Wow.
I love it. It's so good.